It is roughly 5,000 years ago in the city of Uruk. You pull a glowing rectangle from your pocket, tap the screen, and a moving face appears behind the glass. No signal, no Wi-Fi, no charger. But everyone around you is convinced you have trapped a tiny human inside a black mirror. One priest drops to his knees. A guard reaches for your arm. A child throws a pebble at the screen. And the ruler has already decided the device belongs to him. So what would really happen if ancient humans had smartphones? Most familiar features would fail immediately. There would be no cell towers, satellites, app stores, cloud servers, or electrical grid. But a charged phone could still offer a camera, flashlight, calculator, clock, stored music, downloaded books, maps, and games. For a few hours, it could look more powerful than an empire. Your first problem begins in Mesopotamia, where officials had learned that controlling information was almost as useful as controlling food. At Uruk, in modern Iraq, clay tablets from about 3,300 to 3,000 BCC recorded barley, bread, beer, livestock, and worker rations. Scribes pressed symbols into wet clay because cities needed to know who owned what and who owed what. Then you show them the calculator. A scribe who normally spends hours counting grain can total everything in seconds. You photograph a herd. You store a list without using a single clay tablet. You turn on the flashlight, and half the room decides the sun god has joined the meeting. Practical, efficient, extremely dangerous. Would the ruler let you keep it? No. No, he would not. The phone would be confiscated. Priests might call it divine. Officials might call it state property. Craftsmen would copy it, producing polished stone rectangles that do absolutely nothing. You would be questioned about the voices and images inside it. The phone would not free ordinary people. It would become another tool of the palace. Then the battery drops to 68%. In the Roman world around 100 CE, the reaction would be less worshipful and much louder. Romans already loved gossip, advertisements, political slogans, and insults. Pompeii, buried by Mount Vesuvius in 79 CE, preserved election notices, love declarations, jokes, and complaints. At Vindolanda in northern Britain, a wooden tablet from around 100 CE contains Claudius Sever's invitation to Sulpicia Lepidina's birthday party. Romans would understand social media immediately. You open the camera, and soldiers pose with shields. Merchants demand product photos, and one senator asks whether the angle makes him look powerful. Gladiator fights become instant video. The Notes app replaces wax tablets. The voice recorder terrifies politicians. Pliny the Elder, who wrote a 37-book encyclopedia and collected facts with the energy of someone who has opened 40 browser tabs, would probably seize the phone and inspect every menu. But Rome would discover the darker side quickly. A photograph could become evidence. A copied military plan could become treason. A dramatic video without context could start a riot before any official messenger arrived. Rome would not invent TikTok overnight. It had already invented the behavior. The battery falls to 24%. Now the phone reaches Han China around 105 CE, where administrators managed a vast empire using bamboo strips, wooden tablets, seals, messengers, and paper. Surviving Han documents from 206 BC to 220 CE record taxes, military orders, legal cases, and inventories. In 105 CE, the court official Kylun reported improvements to papermaking, although paper existed earlier. Han officials would recognize the phone as an extraordinary archive. One object could hold calendars, diagrams, medical texts, maps, calculations, and thousands of pages. The imperial court would seize it, question you, and summon craftsmen to reproduce it. They could copy its shape. They could not copy the science inside it. No purified silicon, no precision electronics, no power grid, no factories capable of producing microscopic circuits. The phone might still influence a few decisions. An engineering diagram could inspire a mechanism. A medical illustration might clarify anatomy. A photograph could preserve evidence. But one smartphone would not create an industrial revolution. Knowledge becomes useful only when a society has the tools, materials, and skilled people needed to act on it. Then the screen turns red. Here is the modern contrast. Apple introduced the original iPhone in January 2007. In less than 2 decades, smartphones went from expensive novelties to everyday objects carried by billions of people. At 3%, the ruler demands that you restore the device. At 2%, priests argue over which god you offended. At 1%, everyone crowds around the glowing screen, waiting for another miracle. Then it dies. The flashlight vanishes. The voices stop. the moving images disappear. The most powerful object anyone has ever seen becomes a smooth black brick. And that is the real answer. Ancient people would recognize a smartphone's usefulness. Mesopotamian scribes would see a perfect record-keeping tool. Romans would turn it into entertainment, gossip, and political power. Han officials would recognize a portable library. But none of them could keep it alive, because it depends on an invisible civilization. Electricity, factories, satellites, programmers, miners, engineers, shipping networks, and millions of accumulated discoveries. A smartphone looks like one invention. It is really an entire world compressed into your hand. So the next time your battery reaches 1%, remember, you are not just losing a phone. You are watching several thousand years of human cooperation turn into a very expensive mirror.